If you've been following our home makeover series, you'll know that we recently made the move to a new place just outside of Sydney. Over the past year, we've been slowly decorating each space. First, I tackled our home office and design studio, then our entryway, then our dining area, and now I'm excited to finally share our bedroom makeover with you. We definitely faced some challenges along the way, but I can't wait to show you what we achieved and the little DIY projects that all brought it together. We're very lucky to have a spacious master bedroom, measuring 4.3 by 3.5 meters, which is just over 15 square meters. But that being said, more than a quarter of that space was taken up by an extension and sliding wardrobe, which means our actual usable space was around 11 square meters. It is still good as it meant that we could fit in more than just a bed and a wardrobe, and we're really excited to turn it into a cozy retreat. When we moved into this space, we faced a few challenges right away. First off, we quickly realized that the floor was super noisy because the house is built on a hill with a crawl space underneath. We definitely needed a rug to help with that. There was the issue of the strong morning sunlight streaming in through the windows every day, so blockout curtains were a must. And let's not forget about the lighting. There was only one overhead light from the ceiling fan, which just wasn't cutting it. For this bedroom, we really wanted to create an earthy and moody scheme with rich wood accents like walnut, along with earthy greens, deep reds, amber, and brown. Our last bedroom was quite light and airy, with a focus on light greens and oak wood, definitely Scandinavian inspired. But this time, we wanted a little more color, and colors that were richer and deeper. Initially, we thought about using our beloved oak bed frame from Eva. You might have seen it before if you watched my bedroom makeover video from my old apartment or in one of my bedroom design mistakes video. Unfortunately, it didn't quite fit our new vision, so we decided to put it in the guest bedroom instead along with the bedside tables we already had. For this bedroom, we also wanted to include 2 bedside tables, a light source for each, and also a reading nook in the corner because I wanted to take full advantage of the nice view. The bed is really the star of the show in any bedroom, so we kick things off by purchasing a walnut bed base from Ikosa. It is quite simple and minimal, but it is super versatile and would work with other designs if we decided to change our bedroom theme in the future. Assembly was pretty straightforward, just a couple of screws, dowels, and the slats on top. We paired it with a rust-colored velvet headboard that we picked up from a warehouse clearance sale last Christmas. We desperately needed additional light sources in this room, so we picked up these gorgeous wall sconces on Etsy. Sadly, that seller is no longer on Etsy if you wanted to get the same thing, but they were perfect for what we needed. I always recommend against relying on a single ceiling light, especially in a bedroom. Let me quickly show you why. Here is the room with only ceiling light, and here is with multiple light sources. Big difference, right? It's only worse when you're lying on bed with the light beaming right on top of you. Anyway, I really like the pleated fabric shade as it gives off such a warm and inviting glow. But the original birchwood base didn't quite match our theme. So, we decided to stain them so they'll have a more vintage wood feel and better match our bed frame. I picked up some Cabot's walnut water base stain and varnish from Bunnings, and then sanded down the timber to create a rough surface that would absorb the stain. One thing that I knew from the beginning, but somehow just decided to roll without it, was using a tack cloth. Pretty much you're supposed to use a tack cloth to take out all the little particles that are left on the product after sanding it down. But I decided to go ahead without using it because I didn't have one at home and was too lazy to drive back to the hardware store. Anyway, lesson learned, because I end up with all these little particles that are floating around the varnish. So, fair warning, do all the prep work and don't be lazy like me. I ended up doing 3 coats of the varnish and they still turned out pretty good. You only notice the particles if you look really closely, and from a distance, they look great with the headboard and bed frame we have. Installing them was also quite easy. The main challenge with any bedside sconces is getting the placement right. Otherwise, they will look proportionally off. I like to have them somewhat centered with the bedside table, but no more than 12 inches from the edge of the bed. There's actually hundreds of little measurements that you have to know when decorating your home. Things like art, seating height, pendants, and curtains. I've compiled all of these into my space planning cheat sheet, which you can check out in the description box below. Besides getting the placement right, getting sconces straight is quite a challenge. I use my laser level tool, and I always recommend investing in one of these if you regularly do DIY projects. I teamed up with my friends at Castlery to finish off the space with this beautiful Desmond leather armchair and a Thalia wool rug. If you followed me for a while, you've probably heard of Castlery one way or another. I've got their dining table, which I featured in my recent dining room makeover. You should check that video out if you haven't already. And also this beautiful walnut and marble bookcase and this swivel armchair in my office library corner. I purchased all of these things on my own accord, so I genuinely do love their stuff. I've also used them in various projects from this room here, and this room here, and many more. Now back to the armchair. I've actually had this one on my list for a long time, and what drew me in is the silhouette of the chair. The slight curve and tip on the armrest is almost sculptural, which is a detail found in many mid-century lounge chairs. The leather that I got here is really soft and supple, and you can see how beautiful the grain is in detail. One thing that surprised me, however, is how comfortable the chair actually is. Leather seats can usually feel quite tough, but this one has the right padding and stretch in all the right places. I'll even go as far to say that this is one of the most comfortable leather armchairs I've sat on. The back is also curved, so it helps give that additional comfort. The seating is quite deep and wide, which I find to be nice as I can easily sit with a leg up or cross-legged without feeling cramped. The walnut stain finish is really beautiful and smooth all over, and the brass tip leg is a nice bonus that gives that high-end feel. One thing I noticed is that there are no ugly visible joints anywhere on the frame. The whole frame came in one without assembly, which is a very nice surprise at this price point. I've also partnered with Castlery so you can get an extra $50 off, which is stackable with all other promotions on site. I'll link everything down below, including the rug and the fabric version of the armchair. One thing we tried to achieve with layering and furnishings was to have a balance of both masculine and feminine aspects. The process of styling, whether it is a bed, a console, or bookshelf, always takes a few trial and error. It is a bit of an experiment. Trying stuff, step backwards, and repeat until you're happy with the result. We chose soft velvet for a refined and feminine touch, and paired it with rugged leather for contrast. Then, we chose some neutral and earthy tone bedding. I got a two-tone cotton throw which contrasts perfectly with the deep green Duna cover, and did a very simple trick of folding it on the end to show both sides of the textile. Texture, contrast, and repetition is always an important element when decorating a room, so I always encourage people where possible to mix different materials and colors, and then repeat them in different objects and in different shades. In this case, I have a mix of materials from smooth ones like cotton, velvet, and bamboo, to rougher ones like this cotton throw, a wool cushion, wool rug, and leather. You'll also notice I have greens repeated many times in different shades, and also some red, rust, and brown repeated multiple times. To keep with the feminine and masculine theme, we added some cream daisy and pink pillowcases at the back, which works so well with the headboard. I then added a few brass accents here and there, 2 green bedside tables, and a beautifully patterned Thalia wool rug from Castlery. It is a hand-tufted rug made of 100% wool fiber, which is comfortable on foot. I really like the linear pattern on this one as it gives that 3D effect with a subtle color variation, so it doesn't look as plain as the usual flat weave rug, but it's also not high pile, which is usually harder to maintain. Having a rug here definitely helps a lot in reducing the foot noise, and also makes the bedroom much cozier. When it comes to window furnishings, the choice is pretty easy here as the sun shines directly in the morning, so we opted for a blackout curtain. As I've always mentioned in all of my videos, always hang them high and wide, and this is what we did here, despite having a half-height window. Notice how it makes the room look so much bigger and taller, and the S-fold gives that really elegant feel to the room. I personally think that curtains that are installed properly in a bedroom is like a cheat code, as it will instantly make the room look 10 times better. You can check out my video where I go through in detail to hang curtains the right way. Having just overhead and wall sconces wasn't enough for lighting, so I got this rod flick lamp from IKEA for the reading nook. It is an absolute bargain at $39 as it has a really sturdy build and the head can swivel around, which is perfect for a reading nook. I also like that the base has this hidden cable management thing which you can roll and hide access cable, which is so handy. The brass accent also ties in really nicely with all other brass in the room. I then stumbled upon this stunning marble base side table to pair with the armchair. A little bit of a rant here, but does anyone else hate how much waste there is when buying new products? The amount of tapes and styrofoam, how smelly they are, and having to unbox and dispose of them. I think one of the best things about buying secondhand is that they're done and assembled. No waste, no unboxing, just ready to be used. I believe the base here is made of Rosso Levanto marble. I love the deep red and burgundy tones and white veining in this marble, which tie in nicely with the headboard. As I didn't want everything to be so bottom heavy, and also to dress up the blank white wall, I got this little artwork from artist Dan Hopday to be installed above the armchair. One neat trick I've learned over the years is to use a masking tape when installing an artwork, so you can easily visualize the height and positioning before installing them permanently. As usual, you want the artwork to be around eye level, and in this case, just slightly lower because it needs to relate to the other objects around it. Layering with things like curtain, rug, throw, lamps, and artwork really makes a big difference to a space, which is why I highly encourage people to do it whenever a room feels flat or uninspiring. If you're struggling with this, I have an in-depth guide for a beautiful home which you can download for free. There's also a decorating checklist included to help you when decorating your home. As usual, I installed smart light bulbs on everything so I can change the brightness and temperature. I've got all the lamps connected to this remote, which we put on our bedside table. I love this feature because then I don't have to get out of bed to turn the light off, and can use it to turn on the nightlight if we needed to get up to use the bathroom in the middle of the night. Now you might notice the cable dangling from the wall sconces. It is a bit of an eyesore, but I do plan to cover it with a cable cover in the near future. We also brought in our Samsung Serif TV designed by the Borolex from our old apartment. Sometimes I like to wind down with some YouTube or a podcast before bed, but I don't like to have devices in bed with me, so that is why I use a TV. I particularly like this one because it is different from your typical rectangular black box TV, and it can stand on its own like a painting on an easel or on a bookshelf like what I had before. Also, you can set wallpapers on it when it is not in use, so it can display a nice color or an artwork. One of the highlights of this room, as you can see, is the view outside the window. It is really beautiful and I'm grateful to be able to enjoy the scenery, as the view is filled with sky blues, waters, greenery, and occasionally the purple jacaranda trees in November. I wanted the inside to have a moodier and earthy palette that mimics the ground and forest, hence the color palette we have now. From inside, it feels like you're in this warm and cozy cocoon with candlelight lighting, looking out into the calm waters. Thanks for joining me on this bedroom tour and makeover. If you enjoyed this video, check out this makeover playlist where I did the same thing with other rooms in the house. You can also check out this playlist of my previous apartment makeovers. Otherwise, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.